going on, guys? I figured it's been a little bit since we've done a little sit down, if you will, and I wanted to discuss a topic, since it's getting hotter outside, that I've watched many videos on, whether it comes to aquariums, ponds, large ponds, etc., etc. And that's aeration and what aeration actually means. So again, I played around with fish tanks for years and years, and I very seldom ever ran aeration. Well, since I've been in ponds and stuff, it's another thing that I've had to get familiarized with and learn a lot about. Most people would think all I gotta do is put an air pump in there, create some bubbles, and I'm good to go. Unfortunately, it does not work that way. Aeration has to do with so many more things than just putting bubbles into the water. I don't know if you can see it, but I do have some bubbles going right about here on the big aquarium here. Now, I have it coming all the way from the bottom, and there is a reason for that. We'll start with the very, very, very basics of oxygenated water. Cold water holds more oxygen than hot water does. Cold water is heavier than hot water, just like air. Warm air rises, same thing with warm water. That being said, it does no good to put your aeration way at the top. It would help, yes, but it is not as beneficial. Another thing that happens with the pond world, it would not happen with an aquarium. As the seasons change, your surface water gets hotter and colder and so on. And when it gets colder, it actually becomes heavier than the water underneath, and it will actually turn over the water column. So all of this stuff you got to keep in mind, because again, just having bubbles is not going to do the trick. You want to set your aeration at the bottom, because that's creating a current. It's bringing that oxygenated water from the bottom up to the top and circulating that water. Same thing with the filters, the hang-out back filters, the canister filters. Whenever it's returning water, it's agitating that water. Okay? If you're only putting your aerator in, 6 inches from the top or so, you're not agitating the entire water column. Excuse me. You want the entire water column to be oxygenated. You don't want just one area of water to be oxygenated. It's kind of a waste of energy at that point, a waste of electricity. So another thing you got to remember is bigger bubbles move faster than smaller bubbles. So if you have many small bubbles in your aeration setup, you're actually doing a better job of gas exchange. You're actually doing a better job of making that current and turning that water. The bigger bubbles rise faster, and they're not exchanging as much oxygen for the bad gases in the whole gas exchange process. So again, you want fine bubbles. The one thing that I see a lot is you think as long as you got bubbles or as long as you have water moving, you're okay. Well, that's not the case. Again, do I need an aerator because I have 4 filters going? Well, yeah, I do, because that is getting all the way to the bottom. These are all about 8 to 10 inches off the bottom. So I'm only circulating that water. And when these waterfalls from the filters come back in, it's only penetrating the water, the surface of the water, probably looking at the bubbles, probably 6 inches. So that's the only area that is getting reoxygenated. So if I just depended on them, most of my oxygenated water is going to be in the upper half of the aquarium. adding that bottom aerator is going to turn that bottom water around and get it mixed in with everything. So during the summertime, that top surface water has hardly any oxygen in it because the sun in the heat is depleting it faster than it can regenerate it. So the more aeration you have, the more air you have moving from the bottom is circulating that whole entire column, oxygenating all the water. The next thing is a pump that you hook up is not an oxygen pump. Okay? It does not create its own oxygen. All it is doing is taking the atmospherical air and pushing it through a motor to create bubbles out the other end of a hose. If you allow the filter to get clogged up, if you allow contaminants, chemicals around that aerator, you're going to be pumping that into your aquarium. Again, it doesn't create oxygen. It moves the water so that the water can absorb more oxygen from the atmosphere. So again, this is not like an oxygen bottle is hooked up to an airline pumping air into your tank. That is not what's happening when you aerate your pond or a tank. And that's one thing you have to remember. All you're doing is exposing more of the water to the air so the air can absorb more oxygen and get rid of the bad gases. So remember that. It's not putting oxygen into your water in a technical sense. It's just allowing your water to absorb more oxygen. So the more air you have moving and the more water you're agitating and the more bubbles you have going to the surface, the more oxygen is able to be absorbed into your water. So I hope that cleared up, if anybody ever had any questions on aeration, I hope that helped, bring a little clarity to it. Because I've watched a lot of videos and it's very, I don't know if the right word is confusing, but frustrating when I hear, and again, I'm not a professional, I just research and research and research. And when I hear people say they're oxygenating their pond with an aerator, that's not what is happening. And I think it's easier to understand when you know the exact process than thinking, hey, I'm just gonna pump this plug this pump in and I'm gonna get tons of oxygen in my water. If that aerator is not rated right, not turned up enough, you don't have enough bubbles, fine bubbles getting created, it's not doing what it needs to do. So as always, guys, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment on the video. I think we're over I think it's 200 subscribers now. If we keep up at this pace, maybe I'll do some fancy contest for 1,000 subscribers. We'll see. Who knows? It's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've been able to sit down and just have a little technical talk quick because I've been busy with the pond. And as you've seen, I had family in town. Just a lot of things going on. At summertime, it's always busy. So again, keep on improving, keep on investing. And I just want to clarify, I am not an expert. I am not a professional. I am a hobbyist. But I am very serious about the hobby and I do a lot of research. I will not just come on here and spew out falsehoods, if you will. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And if I misspoke anywhere, feel free to correct me as well. So again, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Later.